making sure we got everything set up. Y'all got to come in there to Memphis and go on these places. This place, the food here is ridiculous. Okay. And Memphis. Okay. All right. I'm telling Cameron, please call my cell at 320. Yeah, just one second. All right. I'm about almost ready, guys. Okay. Wess Moore.
I need you to look at me, Rob,
Okay.
before you talk.
Okay.
I'm going to turn your microphone on in a
Okay.
minute.
Just 1 second. I'm sending something to Wes. And then Jimmy Ott's going to be on with us at 4:30. And he already warned me. He said, I'm going to be getting warmed up. I'm going to watch my son's high school playoff game.
Oh.
I said, hey, we're all going to be getting warmed up too. Don't worry. Okay, here we go.
Oh, now here we go. I need you to look at
Okay, I'm looking at you, Audrey.
All right, I'm going to turn your microphone on.
Okay.
I want you to talk yet.
Okay. Okay, hey, Rob Browne here on the Friday afternoon edition of Sidelines Live. We're broadcasting. Man, this is going to be a lot of fun. Jake Crain from Tupelo, host of the Jboy Podcast, and Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago, national college football contributor, on with us. And Audrey's in here producing today, looking across the table. We're about to get some of this unbelievable Corky's food. Now, you know they're known for their barbecue, but they've also got incredible hot catfish bites that we had last time, which are, you can't stop eating them. And the chicken bites. That chicken is so soft, it's like a fried oyster. You got to get up here. Again, they've got great barbecue, ribs, brisket, pulled pork, sandwiches, you name it. We're at Corky's Barbecue on Poplar. And eventually it's going to get to where we can invite everybody to come join us on a remote. And, we'll have, balloons and clowns and people face painting. And we might even have, contests for people. But right now, people just do things in smaller numbers, but we're reaching a lot of people, of course, on the www.sidelines.live podcast. And got a lot to talk about today. We're going to have Mitch Davis on here with us at 3:05, University of Memphis reporter for Rivals.com. 3:20, Bill Cameron, ESPN 106.7, does a daily sports show, The Drive, 4 to 6 p.m. in Auburn, talking about the Auburn Texas A&M game. 3:40, Wess Moore, ESPN 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock, broadcasting live every day statewide, talking about the Arkansas-Missouri game. A little bit after 4, we're also going to have Rob Anderson calling from Valdosta, Georgia, talking about Georgia high school football playoffs. And, of course, recruiting in Georgia is a must. It's the 4th most talent-rich state in America. And Jimmy Ott will be joining us at 4:30. He's getting ready for his son's high school football playoff game tonight. Hey, lot to cover. And guys, let's all say this. In the last week, we've watched on ESPN and, talking about what's happening in college football. And let's do this real quick. Take one of our sponsors and we'll be right back. Hold on. Hey, we're on the phone now with George Gully, one of our sponsors from Jim Karras Chevrolet, 2000 Covington Pike in Memphis. And hey, George, I know it's getting closer. 3 weeks from today, Christmas is going to be here. A lot of people are going to be hoping to unwrap a new car or truck or SUV under the tree. Can you make that happen?
I can make it happen, Rob. First, thanks for having me. And hello to your listeners out there all over the Mid-South and actually all over the world, really.
Yeah.
But here's what's going on. It was just announced yesterday, so I'm glad I'm talking to you. GM just announced employee pricing for everyone. And you say, well, what the heck does that mean? That's the same price that Jim Karras pays. And we're going to be offering that on all the models, all the 2021 models, with a couple of exceptions. Maybe that new Corvette won't get it, but for the most part, the trucks, the cars, the SUVs all get that. And then they also get either the rebate or the low interest financing. So I'd say this is as good as it gets.
It really is. And I know that the 21 Tahoes are in, the 21 Suburbans are in, George, the Chevy Silverado. Robert Hill, one of our farmers, members of our hunting club, bought a Silverado, the Trail Boss from you last May, I guess it was. Really happy. Yeah. It's a great looking truck. Drives it around over there in parking. He farms a lot of land over there, and that is a tough, great-looking truck. It's duck season. It's deer season. I know a lot of people on their Christmas list they want a new truck or an SUV.
And I tell you what, Rob, if you're interested, let me give you my cell number, and they can call me. Today, I'll be in there all day tomorrow. I'll be talking to your group first thing in the morning, but it's 901-491-8343. Be happy to help anyone, and look forward to helping somebody get a new Christmas truck, maybe.
Absolutely. And everybody will be coming out there in the morning. You open up 8 to 6 tomorrow, and you're going to have college football on as well. So we'll talk to you again in the next hour. A lot going on.
Okay.
And George Gully, thanks so much for being a sponsor.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet. All righty. Okay. Back now, George Gully, Jim Karras Chevrolet, one of our sponsors here on Sidelines. In 2000 Covington Pike in Memphis, Chevrolet, Subaru, Nissan. The Karras family, nearly 70 years in the car, truck, and SUV business, not because they're lucky, but because they're good at finding out what you need and fitting you in the right car, truck, or SUV. Rachel, Christian, George Gully, the whole sales team will be out there tonight until about 6:30 or 7, all day tomorrow at Jim Karras Chevrolet, 2000 Covington Pike in Memphis. We've got Jake Crain of the Jboy Podcast, #1 in the country after just 6 months down in Tupelo. Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago, national college football contributor. And now one of the Clark Kent's nephew, the mild-mannered reporter, in an undescript way. He is brilliant, host of the Mitch Davis Podcast, Rivals.com reporter for the University of Memphis. And welcome to the show. And let's talk about the Tigers in Tulane. And we're going to shed a little bit of light on the Memphis basketball situation as well. About 150 lineups in the first few games.
How are you doing today, Rob?
Doing great. I'm eating some of these Nashville hot catfish bites and the chicken bites up here at Corky's, and they are so good. You need to talk so I can eat.
Man, I tell you what, you need to bring me some of those tomorrow morning while we're in studio. Tigers basketball got a big game tonight against Central Arkansas. I expect to see a lot more out of the freshmen than I did against Arkansas State. They disappointing outing out there in South Dakota. We'll start off with that, and then football. They've got a huge game against Tulane tomorrow that they cannot afford to overlook. Tulane is fighting for bowl eligibility. This is their 10th game, and if they win, they'll be 6-5, so it'll be their 11th game, and they'll be heading to a bowl game for the first time in, I think, 2 or 3 seasons. So it's a big game for the Tigers tomorrow, big night for the Tigers basketball team, and a lot of exciting things going on here in the 901.
Well, look, they've got to win. Willie Fritz is a really good coach at Tulane. That game's in New Orleans. A lot of schools, I'm sure, would like to have him as their head coach. And let's go to you, Jimmy Hodge. I know you've got a lot of good things to say about Willie Fritz. Ryan Silverfield and the Tigers are 6-2, got that 10-7 win on the road at Navy last week. What do you think about this game? I know it's a must-win for both schools.
Yeah, I think Tulane is, in kind of a mode where for the first time in decades, they've got players that are getting used to winning themselves. Everybody knows what a tough job it is. And, Willie Fritz is one of those guys that's just been successful. Every place he's been came from Georgia Southern, where he could have stayed there and, really, continued to have them rolling, because he took over a situation which, since Georgia Southern resumed playing football in the early 80s under the legendary Irk Russell, they'd had a couple of periods that had been kind of bumpy, and he corrected that. I was really surprised that he took the Tulane job, but he has made a lot of believers that you can win at Tulane. And when you look at the history of Tulane over the last 60 years, not many guys have been able to win there, but the ones that have gone on to success. Larry Smith in the late 70s, later, went to, was at USC, had some really good success there. Rodney Peete was a one of his better known quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then, Missouri, he really improved them. They lost that legendary game to Nebraska's 97 national championship team, on the last play on the famous, the receiver kicked the ball up in the air and another Nebraska player caught it in the end zone to salvage the win. They won in overtime and then went on to win the national championship. And then you had Mac Brown, who a lot of people don't realize coached at Tulane and coached well enough to where, it allowed him to take the North Carolina job and start them from scratch.
Yeah.
When Mac went to Carolina, they were really in bad shape. I think he won 2 games his first 2 years, turned it around, and made Carolina a desirable job. And he's come back and just picked up kind of where he's left off as far as just making the Eels competitive from the start. So if you have been able to win at Tulane, that means you're a really outstanding coach. And getting to where we're up to date on this Tulane-Memphis game, I think it's a game that both teams really want to win, and it could really kickstart Tulane toward a really strong finish to this season, get them some momentum into recruiting, and then be ready to have a big season next year. So Memphis, same thing. They got a nice win at Navy last week. I think this is the first time they ever won in Annapolis, and they hung on to win it. And that's the type of game that can give you some confidence. So I'm sure they're feeling good about themselves. And just like Tulane, if they can get a win, that's going to give them a lot of momentum to finish up the season and get ready for, another run at the AAC championship in 2021.
Yeah, and Mitch, talk about Memphis right now. I mean, they went out, they're 8-2. They have a chance to play for the conference championship. Cincinnati is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They beat Memphis soundly, 49-7 earlier up in Cincinnati. Memphis played them twice last year in Memphis in an 8-day period, won both games, including the AAC championship. How much is that weighing on the mind of the Memphis players, you think, right now?
Yeah, so actually when we talked to Schulfield, I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, I'm losing track of my days here. When Schulfield talked about that, he said, we're really just focused on Tulane, we're focused on taking care of business, and,
Are you there?
They need to do tomorrow to have a shot.
Okay. I don't know where Mitch is. I think he's been attacked by aliens. But Mitch, can you hear us any better now? Okay. Look, Jimmy, Jake, let's do this. You're looking at this Memphis-Tulane game tomorrow. Tulane, academically, one of the harder schools around. And how do you, looking at this game, Willie Fritz, I think, has done a really good job there. And I don't know if you mentioned Tommy Bowden, back in, I guess it was the 98 season. They went 11-0, and that catapulted him to a 10-year career at Clemson. But the Memphis-Tulane game tomorrow, Jake, what do you see as the outcome of that one? Who you think has the best chance? Can Memphis win?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with that offense, when they get hot, they can win, a lot of games. I think the question is the defense going to show up? That I think, you've gotten good production from the offense. The defense did show up against Navy. It runs that spread option. He runs it really well. When I was coaching in South Alabama, we played him at Georgia Southern when they had Matt Breida and a bunch of guys. They were really well coached, really disciplined. They beat us pretty good there. But I think, I took the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. The question to me is, Willie really wants to control that clock, and they're going to try and keep Memphis's offense off the field and play a little game of keep away. But I do think that if Memphis is able to get 4 to 5 stops, I think they'll be able to outscore them. But again, in a game like this, at the end of the year, when both teams have played a lot, they understand kind of who they are, or at least they should to at this point. I think there'll be a lot of points. I do like Tulane to win in a close one. But again, on the counter of that, if Memphis's defense does show up, then they should be in the game with a chance to win at the end. And again, I think a lot of it may come down to field goals, honestly. Which field goal kicker can step up. So you got to make your extra points. You got to make the chip shots, and you may have to make one over 45. So I think it should be a heck of a game.
Yeah, Mitch, you're back with us. I know you must have hit a dead zone on your cell or what have you, but look, this game, Memphis wins out. They have a chance to play for another AAC championship. Memphis holding Navy in the triple option on the road to a 10-7 victory. That's a big deal, isn't it?
It really is. When we talked to Coach Schofield on Monday, he talked a lot about that. He said, a lot of people are complaining, they only, beat Navy 10-7. They should have blown them out. No, I was actually very proud of how they went into Annapolis, Maryland, and beat Navy the way that they did. They took away the triple option, took away the running lane from Navy, and they were able to really push the tempo. And I was excited about that win. Of course, our first win at Navy. Now looking ahead to the Tulane game, Jake talked about the field goal kicking, and I'm very happy that at least Memphis has one of the best field goal kickers in the conference, Riley Patterson. Riley Patterson, man, I'd say he's up for the running for Special Teams Player of the Year, and a lot of great accolades are coming his way. So this Tulane game is interesting. I do think Tigers will win. I think it'll probably be within about a touchdown or two. But I do think Memphis' offense is way too much and way too big for Tulane to keep up.
Mitch, let's talk about the Tiger basketball thing in the last couple of minutes. Penny Hardaway, a couple of years ago, their class was ranked number 1 in the country. How much of that class is still around? Well, I mean, obviously we know what happened last year, but this is year 3. What's your vote on? Are you happy with where the basketball program is right now?
I actually talked to Dick Wise today on my podcast, and legendary sports writer. We talked about that. It's a very interesting question. I'm not exactly the most happy with it because of how he's doing it. And there's really no excuse for losing to Virginia Commonwealth the way that he did. There was no excuse for losing to Western Kentucky the way that he did. The biggest loss for Memphis was losing Mike Miller on the bench. They don't have that bench coach. They don't have that X and O's guy on the bench. And when you lose Mike Miller, it's really hard for the Tigers to replace him. But overall, Penny's done an average job. I think he needs to pick up pace a little bit. He needs to beat Auburn next Saturday there in Atlanta. He's got to win that game. And he's also got to win the games that he's supposed to win. Like tonight at home against Central Arkansas, he needs to come out, put his foot on the throat, and beat them by 35-40 like he did Arkansas State on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Hey, I do, Rob.
Yeah.
Can I say actually they're having a practice in Atlanta, Mitch, against Auburn. No postseason this year. It's going to be a heck of a practice. Big time scrimmage. Everybody's going to get better. Let's all get better together. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's appropriate. Mitch, one more thing.
I tell you what, the matchup with Auburn is going to be fun because I think Memphis could easily win by 15 to 20 points. I think Auburn is just one of those rebuilding teams this year. I watched them in the Fort Myers Invitational against Kansas and Gonzaga and St. Joseph. They just didn't look like a complete team. And looking ahead to that game, Memphis should roll Auburn pretty heavily.
I'm going to disagree there. I mean, they don't have Sharif Cooper. They are rebuilding. They're out there with shooting guards playing the 1, but Gonzaga's probably going to win the national championship. They beat St. Joe's, who I think is a sneaky team. They got a transfer from Gonzaga. It's a pretty good player. But when I look at Memphis, all I heard when they got Penny Hardaway was, here we come, Final Four. And now I look up, and y'all are fighting. Y'all are going to have to thug one out against Central Arkansas tonight. So I think the game could be a little bit closer. But I agree with you, Mitch. Losing Mike Miller, and I think you're right. Everybody talks about Mike Miller's recruiting. But from an X's and O's standpoint, Mike is a witch. And I think losing them, I think you're exactly right about Mike Miller, though, honestly.
Well,
I didn't realize how much Mike Miller did until he left. And, he's large in part of how Lester Kionis was able to develop as a player. And Boogie Ellis and, A-Lo. And, of course, you had DJ Jeffries. Mike Miller worked with all those guys, especially Mr. Kionis last year. And you see the difference with Kionis this year. He doesn't have that.
I agree.
He doesn't have that swagger and that confidence that he had last season under Mike Miller.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, they've lost a lot. Hey, Mitch, we're up against our next guest is coming on here, Bill Cameron from Auburn, talking about the A&M game. Real quick, we're going to be back on with you in the morning in the studio. Talk about your Mitch Davis Show podcast. It's really doing well. I think people, if you love basketball, this is a great podcast for you to go with.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I actually had Dick Wise, who is Mr. Hoops, so covered 45 Final Fours, been in the sports media business for 60 years. Super, super awesome guy on the podcast that on the Court Press podcast and the Mitch Davis Show. And that'll be uploaded. It's uploading right now. I'm actually on the way to work from my other job. So it's uploading right now, so people can go check that out at Full Court Press on YouTube or the Mitch Davis Show and everywhere you like to listen to your podcast. If you like basketball, man, that's a great interview with Mr. Hoops himself. It was such a fun look back on all the history and everything college basketball related. Plus, you got college football content as well. So thank you so much for having me, Rob. Go Tigers. Look forward to tomorrow morning.
All right, we'll be back on with Mitch Davis tomorrow on the Saturday morning edition of Sidelines on Sports 56 WHBQ. And, of course, listen anywhere on the Sports 56 WHBQ.com website and the Sidelines.live website. Mitch, great job. Have fun tonight. See you in the morning. Okay. Hey, it's interesting. Jimmy and Mitch, and Mitch is gone now, but Jake, Auburn basketball going ahead and just forfeiting the opportunity, if they're good enough, to make the NCAA tournament this year. Last year, nobody got to go, and we don't know what's going to happen this year. The way right now, at some point, the people keep moving the goalpost back further and further and further. We have to make sure, there's got to be an end in sight to where, hey, everyone's going back, full crowds and everything like that. At some point, we've got to do it. We cannot continue to tread water forever. I don't know when that's going to be, but I don't know how Auburn basketball, they got a lot of talent. They don't have any seniors on this team this year, so it's not going to be an easy run by any stretch of the imagination, guys.
Yeah, their highest returning scorer averaged 4 points. I mean, you think about it, they go to a Final Four, you lose Bryce Brown, Jared Harper, Chumo, Kiki, all to the NBA, a couple other guys overseas. You come back the next year with just one starter and a couple backup players. You go 25-6. We're probably going to be a 3 seed going in the tournament. You lose all those guys. You don't get to play in it because of COVID. And then your 5-star point guard that they project to be a first-round pick isn't eligible because his father won't show some documents to the NCAA that they don't need to be looking at anyway. It doesn't have anything to do with pay for play. But, it was very smart what they did. I think, in my opinion, self-imposing this year because they're not going to get another postseason ban. The only thing they're going to get after this is maybe a couple scholarships. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bruce Pearl had to sit some games. But if you look at what they have coming in 2021, they'll have a chance to win the whole thing. They got the best player in the country, Jabari Smith. They signed him. He's some places being projected to be the number 1 pick in the 2022 NBA draft. He's 6'10", can play guard. The comps he's getting are Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis, and he's not done growing yet. And you look at who they got out there right now. Justin Powell's a true freshman, the Gatorade Player of the Year at Kentucky, 6'6", 2 guard, having to play the point, averaging 15 a game. All their guys have never played. And again, the funny thing is they can't play in the postseason this year, but in Vegas, if you go look right now, they have better odds to make the tournament than Alabama does. I thought that was hilarious. But at the end of the day, I think the future, it was a smart move. Self-imposed it this year. Let Jabari and the boys get in here and go make a run for it in 21 and 22 because they're about to get Scoot Henderson, who is an absolute clone of Jared Harper, but a little taller and's got a little more ups.
Well, I mean, that recruiting class, the 2 players, a 5 and a 4, the state of Georgia has been really good for Auburn basketball. In Metro Atlanta, 22 counties, 6 million people. It's a state within a state. And they count differently over there, but hey, it's an interesting place. Lots of great athletes coming out of that area. And Auburn, Georgia, Georgia Tech, of course, they make a great living out of the talent from right there. Jimmy, let's head up to you real quick. Hopefully Bill Cameron's going to be able to join us here in the next few minutes. But Jimmy, let's get started now. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, Auburn and Texas A&M. A&M, look, Jimbo's won national championships with Nick Saban at LSU. He won one outright as the head coach at Florida State over Auburn in 2013. He knows what a national championship team looks like, what it's made up of. He's at Texas A&M. We know the narrative. 10-year, $75 million guaranteed contract. Is A&M ready to assume that role of a favorite going on the road? Gus Malzahn and the Auburn Tigers, this is something you don't say in your 8th year as a head coach at Auburn. We came out, we were flat in the first quarter in the Iron Bowl. I mean, that's like being late for your own wedding.
Well, it's a really interesting matchup because I just didn't think A&M looked good at all offensively. The stage was set for them to just run LSU out of the stadium. They had a great opportunity to avenge that 50-7 humiliation in Baton Rouge last year, and they just offensively they were just completely out of sync. I know they didn't play a game for 3 weeks, but Alabama didn't play a game for 3 weeks either, and they like every other team that's had that long of a break this season. They had a couple of stretches in the game where they didn't look great, but they looked very, very workmanlike. They just took control of the game early. It just did what they needed to do. Whereas A&M, again, they were just they didn't look like, to me, even a top 10 team, much less a national championship contender. And I'm sure for their fan base, it was eerily similar to that opening game performance against Vandy at home, where they actually had to hang on to win. And had they not gotten that replay reversal on Boute's catch in the end zone, which would have cut the lead to 20-14, they would have really been in a position to have to hang on to win the game. Although that was the right call, he lost control of it for just a split second, and by the time he did regain control, he's out of bounds. But that it just tells you that LSU had no business even being in this game, and they played with them pretty much the whole ball game. So if I'm an A&M fan, I'm really concerned going into this game, and I know that the Auburn fan base hadn't been happy all year. And imagine what they'd be like if you wouldn't have had those the replay calls against Arkansas and Ole Miss.
No doubt.
Imagine what they'd
Wow.
But with that being said, Auburn's a different team at home, and I tell you what, I said it last weekend. If A&M plays like they did last week, I don't see them getting it done tomorrow. But I'm sure they're aware of that, and they're going to be playing much better than they did last week. But because they better, otherwise, again, they're going to be in for a long afternoon. One thing about Auburn, I mean, they're a different team at Jordan-Hare, and if they can get a lead early, build some confidence. I think they've got a really good chance. This is one of those games I just don't feel real good about picking either team. But if I had to, I think I'd go with Auburn just because they hadn't lost at home yet this year. And I think I'm probably, had A&M played well last week, I'd feel differently. But and we all know, these are 18 to 22-year-old youngsters. You never know what you're going to get every week. So, A&M might look great, but as of right now, until somebody beats Auburn at Jordan-Hare, I think I got to go with Auburn.
Yeah, and let me say this real quick before I go to a commercial, and then we're going to come back with more talk. The narrative out there is Auburn doesn't play well in the 11 o'clock game at home. Well, obviously, you're either blind or illiterate if you think that. Auburn is 11-1 in their last 12 11 o'clock kickoffs at Jordan-Hare Stadium. But again, if the narrative and the truth clash, a lot of people want to print the narrative, but it's pretty darn good odds for Auburn. Let me say something real quick about one of our sponsors, the Dorian Insurance Agency, 6240 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 901-328-5858. Look, if you're like me, like Audrey, most of us, we don't want to hear another commercial about insurance. But if you're needing life, auto, renters, homeowners, property and casualty, any insurance, call Tom Dorian. I've known Tom for, 42 years. College football player, started on the offensive line, University of Memphis, graduate Christian Brothers High School, father of 5, great guy. Also a member of Curcio like I am, De Coloris Tom. I'm going to tell you right now, Tom is easy to work with. My wife and I have our insurance with him. We went and met with him this summer. We listened, didn't try to sell us anything. 2 days later, we were up there going, we want what you talked about. No pressure. You're just going to have a conversation. If Tom can help, fine. If not, fine. Go on your way. But you will find out what you need to know from someone you can trust with 38 years of experience. You'll have peace of mind. That's the Dorian Insurance Agency, 6240 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 901-328-5858. Check out Tom Dorian's hyperlink on our website at www.sidelines.live. And we're going to be joined in just a minute, guys, by Justin Wynn, General Manager from Red River Ford Toyota. But while we're waiting for his call, let's go back. And Jimmy, great points. I'm the same way. You want to think, well, Auburn will play better at home, but when you come out flat on the road, I don't care, at home, whatever, in the Iron Bowl, that's inexcusable. Jake, take it away before I lose my mind on that one.
Yeah, it just shocked me that, coming out flat, I think that's a terrible way to put it. I thought the game plan you had was absolutely peanut butter and jelly, and that's what I said on my show, and I think I'm being nice giving them jelly. But, you can't – Alabama's going to score. You're not going to stop Alabama every time. You're not going to shut them out. You're going to have to score with them. The question is, how many stops can you get? Well, Auburn came out running split zone, power, counter, the same concepts. But what blew my mind is they never took a shot down the field. They never took a shot down the field, which basically, to me, I don't know any punches. The odds of you going to beat Alabama, and we can talk about the 25-point spread, that's ridiculous anyway, especially when you're in year 8 of the program, but that's another story. But you come out and you don't even give it a chance, and Alabama's able to just do it. The funny thing is, Auburn didn't do anything different than they've done all year. Alabama didn't do anything different than they've done all year, but for 2 totally different reasons. One, I have no idea why Auburn did it. It shocked me. I think Steve Sarkisian was shocked. I think Pete Golding was shocked. I think Jimmy was shocked. I think you were shocked, Rob. But Alabama didn't have to do anything different because they didn't have to, because they are so much more talented outside of Tank Bigsby, Anders Carlson, J.J. Pegues, and I don't know, maybe I can't think of another player. The talent gap is so wide between Auburn and Alabama. It goes back to recruiting, especially up front. And when you're in year 8 and you're making $7 million a year, you ought to be able to go out, run peanut butter and jelly, and at least score a couple points. I don't understand why you take that tactic. It just didn't make sense to me. I don't think you show up to the Iron Bowl hoping to win. And if we're at that point in the program at Auburn, we probably need to look a different direction. And I think if he loses to A&M, that just might happen.
Hey, Bill Cameron is on with us from down ESPN 106.7 The Buzz. And the drive in Auburn. And Bill, hey, look, I know you got a lot going on for your show's about to start in 27 minutes, but chime in here. We've been talking a little bit about the Iron Bowl, of course, from last week, but tomorrow's game, they're all big. I don't even say that. 11 a.m. Kickoff tomorrow. Auburn hosts Texas A&M. A&M coming in. Lots of people want to see A&M do well. Bill, you there? Okay. I guess we lost Bill. I don't know what. He must be having phone problems. What a day. But, hey, Jake, you're right. If Auburn goes out and lays an egg tomorrow, there are going to be some people going nuts. And A&M, Kellen Mond is not a great quarterback, Jimmy, Jake. Y'all probably would agree. He's the all-time passing leader at Texas A&M. You put a pass rush on that guy, he struggles. Okay, let's do this. Justin Wynn is on here with us right now, one of our sponsors from Red River Ford Toyota in Wynn, Arkansas. And I'm going to just say this. You're going back and forth to Heber Springs. Right there, 64 by the Walmart, go south about a half mile on Highway 1, and you will see Red River Ford Toyota. Great people to work with. This is the general manager, Justin Wynn, on here with us right now. Justin, welcome to Sidelines, and we love having you as a sponsor.
Good. We enjoy being it, Rob. I tell you, we're having a great day here. We've already started out rolling this month. We're making deals. Cars are flying out of here to the point I'm almost out of inventory. But the good news is I got inventory coming in daily to replenish what we're selling. And I've got the first Bronco today. All right, the first Bronco that we've had. We got a Bronco Sport drop today, and this is a cool SUV. If you hadn't got a chance to see one, I'd love for people to come by and check it out.
You've got the Broncos. You've got one of the new Broncos there now.
I just dropped one of the new Bronco Sports. Just came off the truck right now.
Wow. Okay. And you're going to be open tonight, like you say, till 6:30 or 7 or until the last sale is done. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be over there. It's the split in Arkansas, the duck season. It's the youth hunt, but it's a great day for people to get out. 3 weeks from today, Justin, is Christmas. And I know a lot of people are wanting a Christmas present. How many of those Broncos you got?
I've only got the one right now, but hopefully I'll have the rest of them trickling in here over the next few days. And we should be able to meet all those Christmas gift needs. And I tell you, what's better than getting a new car for Christmas? Right?
No, absolutely. Justin, you're driving a Toyota Tundra, 4-wheel drive, black, fully loaded truck. I absolutely love that. I love the Ford trucks. I love the Toyota Tundras. You can take that truck anywhere off-road, and I don't see you ever getting stuck in it. But talk about all the Toyotas as well.
I mean, this Tundra just seems invincible, Rob. I've taken it a few places already, and I mean, I've had no issues at all. If you talk about power and torque for pulling, man, you cannot beat one of these Tundras. I hate to say that about that, but I mean, they're great trucks. And of course, you talk about the rest of the Toyota lineup with the Camry and the Highlanders and the RAV4s. Just continue down to the Corolla. They're just great cars. They're going to last you a long time. You're going to get excellent fuel economy, and can't beat them.
Yeah.
Just can't beat them.
Hey, Red River Auto Group, everybody out here listening, John Dobbs Jr., the Dobbs family, known in Memphis and the Mid-South in the car truck business for a long, long time. John Dobbs Jr. is part of the Red River Auto Group, and they've got this dealership they bought October 5th over in Wynne, Arkansas. You're on I-40 heading to Little Rock at the Forest City exit. Go north there on Highway 1, 11 miles up there to Wynne, to Red River Ford Toyota. Again, you're going back and forth from Heber Springs. Right there, 64 on Highway 1. Go south a half a mile. You cannot miss it. Rusty Howard, the sales manager, Justin Wynn, be there all night, all day tomorrow. They have TVs set up in there, so you're not going to miss your college football games. But what you will get is first-class treatment the minute you drive up on the lot from people who are committed to helping you get the right car, truck, or SUV. Check them out on our website, too. And, Justin, people can do a lot of the work online before they even come in to see you, can't they?
They absolutely can. We can evaluate your trade in. You can look at what inventory we have in stock, what we have coming in, get prices, get quotes on everything. And then, if need be, I will deliver the vehicle to their driveway for them, no matter really how far the distance is.
Hey, it's a 45-minute trip from Memphis. I know John Dobbs Jr. would love to see people that he knows, friends, and people that have bought from the family over the years. They are back over Red River Auto Group, and that is Red River Ford Toyota in Wynne, Arkansas. Justin, we'll talk to you again in the next hour.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet. Hey, guys, listen, a lot of fun. I know Bill Cameron, he had his phone issue. His phone died, and then he got it back on for a minute, and it died again. So that's part of moving, in real time. Jake made some good points about this Auburn, Texas A&M game. And again, you go out there with peanut butter and jelly. You got 6 plays on a stone tablet. Everybody knows them. Chad Morris is supposed to be calling plays, but again, I was born in the afternoon, July 22nd, but not this afternoon. During the week, and Jake, you know this from coaching, and Jimmy from playing college football, the narrative, the base of the plan, well, I like this and I like that. So your coordinator then goes in there and puts that. It's like you have an executive chef that you pay $500,000 a year to work for you at your family's home. He cooks what you like. He's not going to go spend a lot of time making stuff you don't like. Where is Auburn going to find the happy medium? And I'll start with you, Jimmy, on an offense.
Well, I think they've shown all year they really need to get the running game going first. I mean, that's when they've had their best offense, their best offensive production all year long. We know early in the year they tried it the other way around. They tried to get things going with the passing game first, and they were just never in sync. And, until 4 or 5 weeks into the season with these young linemen, they finally started just to get better, just from nothing else, practicing every day and then mixing that in with actual game play in the toughest league in college football, combined with the fact that every opponent this year has been an SEC better. So that's when they really started to make some progress offensively. I think what really got them on the wrong foot last week, though, was on their first pass attempt, Nix got sacked. And that just really seemed to just, I don't know, affect everything, whether it was their play calling or just their psyche or whatever it was. It just was the start of a bad outing offensively. I mean, Bama had 3 sacks in the game. They forced 3 turnovers. They had 8 tackles for loss and 9 quarterback hurries.
Yeah, that was a mess.
That is not a good recipe for the type of offensive production you need to have a chance to win at Bryant-Denny.
Absolutely. Let's do this. We've got Wess Moore just joined us on the line from ESPN 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock. We're going to come back and preview tomorrow's game, Arkansas and Missouri. Before that, though, let's take a quick commercial break and thank our sponsors. Sidelines will be with you till 5 p.m. Central, 6 o'clock east of the Chattahoochee and the Caney Fork. But we'll be back with you again in just a minute. Good. Okay. Hey, Wes.
Hey, man.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Okay. Hey, all right. Got Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago and Jake Crain down in Tupelo. So, man, this we're just finishing up talking about that Auburn game tomorrow. That's going to be a fun one. A&M going in as a what's the line on the game? Do y'all know what it's at right
7.
now? It's A&M -7.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder how much has that line moved a lot?
I don't know. I'm just uncomfortable with the way A&M played that week. To put 7 out there, those Vegas guys know more than we do. But man, oh man,
it opened at 4 and now it's at 5.5.
Okay, really? Wow. Yeah.
I got it at 7 early. I bought a half point.
Yeah, I saw
6.5.
Yeah, I saw something. Yeah. I saw it last night. I think it's 7. I don't know whose odds it was. It was.
Yeah, mine are a guy that you don't know.
Yeah. and probably don't want to know if you're behind.
That's actually all I'm going to say about it.
Hey, look, but if you're going to have a guy on your show that does the lines, Jimmy, Jake, Wes, it's got to be something like, Vinny, Nicky the Weasel, Jimmy.
Nicky the Weasel.
Yeah, Nicky. Hey, we got Joey Bag of Donuts from South Boston.
or the Hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
The Hammer.
Gus is going to win this game, right?
Well,
like Rob, Gus Malzahn's definitely going to win this game. This is the game he always wins.
Yeah. You remember that game 2 years ago, Auburn A&M? They had Auburn dead. And Noah Igbenogany.
Oh, golly, yeah.
I mean,
they dominated that game all day long. They made a horrible play call, and Mon made a worse throw.
Yeah.
And Auburn intercepts it, and they hadn't moved the ball for at least 2 quarters.
No.
And they just went right down the field and won the game.
It was awful.
Totally turned them
Audrey, how much time do we come back? All right, 25 seconds. Yeah, it was awful.
There's something every time Gus gets put in a corner, he's going to win. But the sad part is Mon decided to have his bad game last week, but A&M's offensive line made maul Auburn. They're pretty good up front.
Yeah, it's unusual. They might be the best in the. Well, Alabama's the best. Alabama's the best, but it's the best they've had under Jimbo for sure. Okay, 5 seconds. Ready? All right, 20 seconds. I'm sorry. Hey, Wes, what are the Hog fans over there? You get a win, that's going to be 4. Is that going to be enough to go to a bowl?
Yeah. Well, in fact, Pittman said this week they've already won enough, in his opinion.
All right.
Yeah, there's no restrictions this year.
Okay,
there's no requirements at all.
There's no requirements.
Okay, guys, we're back here on the sidelines here with you again till 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock in the Eastern time zone, www.sidelines.live. And keep in mind, we'll be back on in the morning, the Saturday morning edition of Sidelines, 8 to 10 a.m. Central on Sports 56 WHBQ in Memphis. Also listen anytime, sidelines.live on the website. And again, the Sunday afternoon wrap-up show, 3 to 5 p.m., where we talk about a lot of college football, recruiting. We're going to really get into recruiting with Jake and Jimmy and Wes. You cover high school football all over Arkansas, but let's go right now with Wess Moore, ESPN 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock, and also Fox Channel 16 in Little Rock. You get to see a lot of football. You talk with fans all over the Razorback State. During the break, you made a point. I just said, Arkansas wins tomorrow. Is that going to be enough for a bowl? Wes, take over from here.
Yeah, well, a lot of fans have been wondering about that. Earlier this week, we had the Vegas Bowl that had the SEC Pac-12 tie-in canceled, and that left the SEC with 9 bowl games. So, they could leave 4 or 5 teams out, depending on how many get into the, Final Four from the SEC. And you start looking, and Arkansas is now in that lower tier after losing a couple games in a row. They're 3-5 with 2 games to go. You lose to Missouri and Alabama, all of a sudden you're 3-7, and fans were a little worried. Maybe they'd be in jeopardy of not going to a bowl game after such a good start. But Sam Pittman came out earlier this week and said, look, I feel good. I'm planning on playing 3 more games. In a normal year with 3 or 4, 4 non-conference games, you got to think that's 3 wins right there at the least. That's 6 wins. That makes you bowl eligible. So he feels like this team's good to go already with the bowl game. Of course, Fort Worth added a bowl game this week, what was it, yesterday, that has an SEC Pac-12 tie-in. So that gives the SEC another bowl game. So, yeah, I think the feeling is Arkansas is going to a bowl game. But here's the thing, guys. They were 3-3. Everybody was high on the Hogs. They should have been 4-2. You look at that Auburn game. Since then, they've lost to Florida. They lost to LSU, a game they could have won, but they lost. You lose to Missouri, you lose to Alabama, that's 4 straight losses to end the year. You don't want to do that. This is a feel-good story. You want it to finish that way. And so that's kind of the key this week against Missouri, finish and get a win. They haven't beaten Missouri in like 4 years now, and that's not sitting well with a lot of people. So they really want to finish strong. And then you throw in the aspect, Barry Odom was the head coach at Missouri last year. He was fired after going 6-6. He had a good record. I think that surprised a lot of people that Odom was fired, and he brought along 2 assistant coaches from Missouri. So there's that tie-in that has a lot of Razorback fans and Razorback players excited to play Missouri this week.
It is, and I look at Arkansas right now. They've got 5 losses. They've still got to play. Give us the latest on are they going to play the Alabama game?
Yes, the SEC came out this afternoon, and that is on the schedule for December 12th. So they will play Missouri this week and Alabama next week.
Okay, so let's say they finish 5, and they could be that right now. They've got 3 wins. They're 3-5. They really should be 4 and 4. The Auburn game, and again, got to be fair. They were robbed. I mean, that was a tough one, but. Let's go back up now. Jimmy Hodge, weigh in right now. Again, Arkansas, Missouri tomorrow. Barry Odom, that's going to be a fun one for him. He knows the personnel of that team, but you're right. That's a good war there, the border war, Arkansas and Missouri. But Jimmy Hodge, come on in.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup, just like what Wes talked about. You've got, Barry returning to Como with a couple of former Missouri coaches, and combine the fact that Missouri is, they're kind of like Auburn in that they're a different team when they play at home. They just play with a lot of confidence there. They really present some challenges to an offense because they got a lot of experienced players on the defensive side of the ball. They do a lot of stunning, which can give you your offense problems with their blocking schemes. And I think it's a real tough matchup for Arkansas. They, just like every game in the modern style of college football. You got to put points up on the board if you're going to win. I'm just, golly, I am a little worried about Franks. He tends to make that bad decision or bad throw in, at the worst possible time. I think it's going to be a close game, really intense, really hard fought. I've got to give the edge to Missouri, but this is one of those games, though, you just got to go out there and play it because I think it's a really good matchup. Sam's just done an incredible job at Arkansas, and to the point that his players think every time they go out there, they have a chance to win. And that has not been the case the last 3 or 4 years. And it just makes for, again, what I think is going to be a really good matchup. It's a big game for both teams. And whoever can win it, I think they're going to, be able to finish the season, in a much better light. I know the Hogs have Alabama next week, but again, I think they're going to see that as an opportunity to get better, see how you match up against a team that could very well win the national championship, and then look forward to that bowl game. If you lose it tomorrow, it just makes it tougher. But again, I think there's a lot on the line for both of these teams.
I do too. And along the lines of that, what this game means to Missouri and Arkansas, Wes, I'm going to ask this question to you and then throw it to Jake Crain. Recruiting right now, Arkansas sitting there with a number 20 class in the country. And I've been saying, and I'm not the only one, for a long time, Sam Pittman and this staff can recruit the high South, what they call the northwest corner of Arkansas, Fayetteville. They go into Oklahoma, Missouri, Louisiana, Texas. They go into Memphis. Last year, they signed 3 kids out of Memphis. What's this doing right now? Arkansas's class, according to what I saw on 24/7 Sports last night, is sitting there at number 20 in the country. And keep in mind that last year, when Sam Pittman got the job, December 20th signing period, Arkansas's class was ranked 110th in the country. The February signing class, when they tabulated the final rankings, Arkansas was number 29. Okay. So talk about recruiting, and then I want you to chime in on that as well, Jake Crain.
Well, Arkansas got a big commitment last week. It was on Thanksgiving Day. Jaden Johnson was committed to South Carolina. He's out of Georgia, big corner or safety. Arkansas recruited him as a safety. His high school coach believes he can be a 6'2" cornerback. It's one of those athletes you get on campus and you can decide what to do with him in your defensive backfield. But, once South Carolina made their move at head coach and decided to go in a different direction, Jaden Johnson had been talking with Arkansas the whole time, and Barry Odom got him to flip, and he's now a Razorback commitment. So that added to Arkansas's commitment numbers on Thanksgiving Day. So that was a nice little surprise on Thanksgiving Day for Arkansas. They've now got, I think it said 20 commits, and Coach said that, look, they're basically looking at a couple more guys, high-profile guys, and then they're going to hold off and save 2 or 3 of these scholarships for transfers because they saw what these grad transfers or just regular transfers can do for a squad. I mean, Felipe Franks came in, and he's made all the difference in the world at quarterback. And who knows, Felipe goes to the NFL, they may be in the market for another transfer quarterback to step in. And, he's had a very successful year and helped his draft stock. And some other quarterback that's unhappy may see that and want to come play for Kendall Briles.
Yeah, Jake Crain, Arkansas recruiting, it's changed. Again, Sam Pittman, I think he can claim 17 of his offensive linemen in the NFL. How big a deal is that on the recruiting trail? I would think it's huge.
Oh, yeah, it's huge because, obviously a lot of those kids believe – well, all of them believe they're going to play in the NFL, but a lot of them will have a chance to. I look at it, and I think Arkansas is in a situation that's kind of a little unique this year in recruiting too, because don't forget, guys, this year of eligibility doesn't count. But that's not going to change the 85 scholarship limit roster that you have. So if you're Sam Pittman in Arkansas and you kind of, you came in and you're having to change the culture, you want to bring in a bunch of your guys. So if you look at Auburn right now, they're a team, a lot of teams are sitting with a low commits and are actually going to go to the grad transfer market and transfer portal this year just for that reason as well, because you get the one-time transfer wherever you want, no penalty rule. But again, Sam Pittman, he did it at Georgia. He's been done it everywhere he's been. He's an unbelievable recruiter. And I look at this Missouri game in West. correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume that in the future and in the past and as well in the future that Arkansas and Missouri probably go head-to-head a decent amount in recruiting. And you've got two brand new head coaches in there, both trying to establish, they're the team that's on the rise and all this stuff. And I think a win here just in this kind of unique circumstance would be big either way, especially for Sam Pittman, who already has a leg up in recruiting just because of what he's done in his past and the formula he knows and how it works.
Yeah, Missouri's been into Northwest Arkansas and gotten a couple of commitments from Arkansas kids. Now, I don't know how hard Arkansas was going after some of those kids, but there are some Arkansas kids on that Missouri team, and there's 4 or 5 Missouri guys on this team that one of them is Jalen St. John, a big-time freshman offensive lineman that, I think he may have been committed to Missouri, but when Barry Odom and Brad Davis left, he followed them to Arkansas. And I know there were some remarks made by Coach Drinkwitz on signing day about some teams negative recruiting him. And he even had a comment this week about negative recruiting, that he started doing some negative recruiting because everybody else is doing it. And a lot of people took that as a shot at Arkansas for taking away Jalen St. John from him. But no, there are, as long as Odom and Brad Davis, they're on this team, they're going to commit, or they're going to recruit that Missouri area. And Sam Carter's the cornerback coach. So they're going to recruit Missouri. So this is a big chance for them to go in, get a win, and talk to some of those recruits about coming to Arkansas.
Wes, when you talk to the Arkansas fans, which you do every day statewide, what now has their confidence? I would think it's been restored in the Razorback football program. And the second question is recruiting. The state of Arkansas, I don't see any top elite player leaving the state while this group is in Fayetteville.
Well, that's the hope, and they've made that commitment. This year wasn't a great recruiting class inside the state of Arkansas, to be honest with you. But there are some juniors and some sophomores that are getting offers from all over the country. So they're already laying the groundwork for the future, the junior class, that 2022 class, and 2023. But as far as the fans and the excitement, losing to LSU didn't do anything. In fact, I think that just made fans a little madder or disappointed, So that just got them a little bit excited about this game. And I think they all realize this is a big game for this year. You just don't want to finish on a bad note.
Okay, you're talking about Wes in this, recruiting in the state of Arkansas. There's less than 3 million people. We know that, but Little Rock puts out a good many players. Pine Bluff has over the years put out players. The Fort Smith area puts out a lot of good players. Greenwood is a real football power. Who are the top 3 players in the state of Arkansas this year, and go by position?
Well, probably in Arkansas, you got the 2 Parkview kids from Little Rock Parkview, and they're going to sign with Arkansas later this month. Aaron Outley is a tight end. He was heavily recruited. Landon Rogers is a quarterback, and he is the second quarterback in this class. 6'4", probably 220-pound quarterback, dual threat. He's got that size and he's a project too. Great speed, big physical runner and a big arm, but it's not always on target. And I think this is a Kendall Briles project to work on that throwing motion to where Landon Rogers could be looked upon as a quarterback in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
They also signed Marco Avant from Jonesboro High School. He's a linebacker. And Terry Wells, I've been talking about him on your show. He's from Wynne, Arkansas. He's the top offensive lineman in the class in the state of Arkansas. And he was the first commitment for Sam Pittman. And it kind of makes sense. Big-time offensive lineman from Arkansas, and Sam Pittman gets him to sign. And, in fact, Terry Wells will be in Arkansas or in Little Rock tonight as undefeated Wynne takes on undefeated Pulaski Academy. And, you guys know Pulaski Academy's put out some recruits.
Yeah.
Nothing really this year for Pulaski Academy, but they have a junior running back that's pretty dang special. And I know Arkansas is keeping an eye on him. They haven't pulled the trigger and offered yet, but he's one to keep an eye on. But that's your top 4 probably, guys in the state of Arkansas this year.
Yeah, it looks to me, and Jake and Jimmy, y'all follow recruiting, and I try to as well. Though there's not a large population in the state, they do put out some really good players. And if you build a core and get 8 or 10 kids in state a year, that's going to be huge. And Obviously, Texas historically has been really good for Arkansas, but Louisiana has and Oklahoma. But again, going and getting some players in the Deep South, I would tap into the relationship machine that they've got. Guys like Scott Fountain, Sam Pittman, of course, is 4 years at Georgia. He has a lot of really strong relationships with high school coaches in the Deep South. Wes, if you can hold with us for a few more minutes, we're going to take a quick commercial break here at 4 o'clock, and then we're going to come back and go with you for a few more minutes and talk a little bit more about Arkansas as they head into the final stretch with the last 2 games and hopefully a bowl game.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, we'll be right back. This is Sidelines.live. 1 more hour to go till 5 p.m. on the Central, 6 p.m. on the Eastern time zone. Be right back. Okay. Hey, Wes, we were over in Wynn last Saturday, and there's so many little towns like Wynn in Arkansas, but those little towns, especially, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette did a story. I remember reading it 22 years ago when Arkansas had been in the SEC for 6 years, and the whole story was about why is football so big in the South, and they basically, the majority of the top programs were towns that had a paper mill, kind of a blue collar work ethic. And they went to like Opelika High School, which is Auburn, Opelika, the Twin Cities. And Jake, you finished at Opelika, didn't you? 17 full-time football coaches paid on the staff in high school. So, and that's what you get down there. And Pittman, I think, is really tapping into this. Jake, I mean, you're seeing it, aren't you? Oh, Jake, that's right, guys. Jake had to get off at 4. He's got an interview he's doing, but it's amazing to me, Wes, because Arkansas guys like Weston Dacus out of Searcy. You've got Little Rock, Fort Smith, and West Memphis puts out some players, but I just see every top player in the state. I don't see anybody getting out of the state. They're doing kind of like what Mark Richt did at Georgia. He built a wall around it. It was very difficult because Auburn typically has 35 or 40% of their roster from the state of Georgia. Okay, 30 seconds. Coming back. Jimmy, you there?
Yeah,
okay.
Wes, go ahead.
Yeah, 20 seconds. Yeah. Hey, hold that thought, Jimmy. We'll come right back with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have one of my car guys call in a minute. So if we hit the break, I'll be right back with you. Okay. Okay, Rob Browne back here with you for hour number 2 on the Friday afternoon edition of www.sidelines.live. We've got Wess Moore from over in Little Rock, who covers the Arkansas Razorbacks, does a daily sports radio show on ESPN 103.7 The Buzz. Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago. Jake Crain was with us the first hour, host of the Jboy Podcast. Check it out. I think it's #1 in the country now after 6 months. Follow recruiting, college football, basketball, outstanding. Wess Moore. Let's talk a little bit more before we let you go. This Arkansas-Missouri matchup tomorrow, it's in Columbia. How emotional, Barry Odom played at Missouri. He coached at Missouri. He's not coaching there anymore. And now he's coaching on the team, Arkansas, that is, trying to get a win. And Missouri's won 4 of their last 5 games. I think this game is a big one, and it's must-watch TV for any football fan.
Yeah, probably the best game of the week in the SEC. I mean, because I look at Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, LSU. I see those as blowouts.
Yeah.
Auburn A&M is a really good game, too. Don't get me wrong. But it's an intriguing game. Should be a close game. You throw in the Barry Odom connection. You look at what he's done for this defense this year, and he's got that defense buying in. They believe in him. They know he was fired from Missouri. They know he went to Missouri. They know he's a Missouri guy. So they know how much this game means to him. So I got to think you're going to see a very inspired defense and taking the fact that they've been off a week. So they're rested. They're healthier than they've been. They got all those defensive linemen back that they missed for the LSU game. They have one guy in their entire 2 deep, really the 3 deep, that played against LSU. The rest were either had COVID or they were in quarantine. So they went with a bunch of freshmen and redshirt freshmen that I had to look up the roster to see who they were. When they came out, I didn't know their numbers. There was one player who had seen significant snaps this season that played against LSU on that defensive line. So I think you're going to see a fresh team. Another storyline this week is Rakeem Boyd opting out. So that leaves them thin at the running back position. Traylon Smith, who had a great game against Auburn, will be the feature back. And TJ Hammonds, who, he was highly recruited out of Joe T. Robinson, Little Rock, Arkansas in 2016. And we've seen flashes, but we've never seen any consistency from him. He had 2 huge plays against LSU, basically got them from their own end zone down to the other end in 2 plays. He caught a long pass for about 50 yards and then ran for about 29 yards on 2 plays later. So he's going to get some opportunities.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to watching it. Going over after the show tomorrow to Parkin. So we'll be in Arkansas all weekend working on getting more duck blinds and pits ready and fields flooded and stuff for duck season. Wes, tell people real quick before we let you go. And again, thank you so much for taking time out on a Friday afternoon to join us. How do people follow you on your daily show?
You can go to Wess_Moore on Twitter, 2 S's in Wess, 2 O's in Moore. And then you can download the Buzz app, or you can listen to us at 1037thebuzz.com.
Hey, Wess Moore, thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing from you again soon.
See you guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. Okay. Look, bottom line is, Jimmy, we've got a lot going on. College football season. Still, we're going to be playing the SEC championship is December 19th. And that is, that's going to be, it's a foregone conclusion. It's going to be Florida and Alabama. I'm disappointed. I mean, what was Rakeem Boyd's reason for, Rakeem Boyd decides to opt out. We're going to get to that after this break. But look, let's take a minute, talk with one of our sponsors. We're so lucky to have George Gully, sales manager, Jim Karras Chevrolet, 2000 Covington Pike in Memphis. George, you got a big announcement. You made it in the first hour, but for those people that maybe not have been listening or didn't hear it, take it from here because it's big news at Jim Karras.
Yeah, it is big news. First, thanks for having me today. It's turned out to be a nice day in Memphis. It's going to be a nice day tomorrow. But here's the scoop. As you alluded to, we've got just announced employee pricing. So you say, well, what the heck is that? Well, that's the same price I pay, GM employees pay, Jim Karras pays. So we are not only are giving you that price, but we'll also give you all the rebates, all the low interest financing. It all is out there, is hanging out there for you to come by and take a look at one of the new Chevys, the cars, the trucks, the SUVs. And I'll be happy to help you tomorrow. I'm playing hooky right now, Rob. I hate to tell you that, but I'm left for the afternoon. But I'll be back in the morning, and my team will be there, and we look forward to helping people get their new Christmas vehicle.
Okay, and something else, too. Everybody just about in the Western Civ, at least, is working remote right now. Apple technology packages are available on all your cars, trucks, and SUVs. They are program changers, difference makers. You're never out of touch with your office, clients, prospects, and you got the hands-free texting. Remember, safety first. Talk about that, and we'll let you go.
I don't have to talk anymore. You did it for me. It's all on every one of our vehicles. I had a client yesterday. He's picking up a new Suburban. I mean, it was an eye-opener to him. He said, wait a minute. I can lay my phone down, text my wife, my customers, my friends, and Siri will read the answers back to me. And I said, yeah, it's just that simple. So you're right. Everybody is taking advantage of that. They're loving it.
Hey, look, we're looking forward to having you back on tomorrow. You open up 8 a.m. You'll be up bright and early till 6 p.m. Get out there. You're going to have TVs on. You're not going to miss your college football. George Gully, 22 years sales manager, over 4,000 happy customers at Jim Karras Chevrolet. And that's because he knows what he's doing. He'll listen and he'll get you in the right car, truck, or SUV.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, Jimmy Hodge. Look, we are going to have in just a few minutes Rob Anderson. Shoney's going to join us from down in Valdosta, Georgia. Jimmy, and talk a little Georgia high school football. One of the number 4 in the country in terms of talent, and here he is right now. Fourth. Georgia's the 4th most talent-rich state in America. And, Jimmy, you're up in Chicago. What's amazing to me is the state of Illinois is the 10th most talent-rich state in America. They typically put out about 70 players a year signing with, Division I, programs. The state of Georgia has about the population of the state of Georgia is fairly similar to what Illinois is, Jimmy and Shoney, about 11 million or so. But they put out 250 plus Division I players, and a guy that knows a lot about high school football in Georgia from Titletown, USA. Remember, ESPN gave them that moniker, and they deserve it. You've got Rush Probst, Jamie Dubose down there in Lowndes County, Valdosta High School. But Shoney, what's going on down there in South Georgia? A lot of programs, including Auburn and Florida State and Georgia and Florida and Alabama, make a living off of players from down there.
Well, this weekend, Rob, Valdosta and Lowndes will be making long playoff trips. Valdosta is hoping they're going to North Cobb this weekend up in the Marietta area. And if they can win this week and the great Carrollton Trojans can win this week, you have a Valdosta Carrollton.
Well, let me just say, Shoney, 715 West Magnolia. There's a few Carrollton boys over there. Kerry Chandler started that pipeline. Sam Haney, Bill Hamrick, Tom Glanton, a whole bunch of Carrollton boys. The Trojans against Valdosta. What's the wager going to be on that one, Shoney? You got to come up with something on that. That'd be a dream come true.
It'd be a good year to pick on Valdosta with it being Rush Pro's first game, but you just never know, Rob. I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. But the one that's intriguing me more is the 7-8. Lowndes has gone to the Augusta area to play Evans tonight. And
Well,
they're recovering from a couple of weeks of COVID problems and seem to be starting to peak again after dealing with their COVID issues.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's going to be big. Jimmy Hodge, you're up in Chicago. I know you look to return to Dixie. Love to have you back down here, but chime in here right now because I know you've got an incredibly sharp mind, and we all know that recruiting is it's the lifeblood, and if you don't have it, it's like trying to grow rice without water.
Well, Shoney, I wanted to ask you about the situation with the USC commit at Valdosta. I know early in the season that he was declared ineligible by the Georgia High School Association. Did they get that straightened out, and just what kind of years he had overall?
apparently they've gotten it straightened out. He was ineligible to play at Valdosta. He played the first game of the year at Valdosta. His dad was down here and all this, and he was ineligible to play with Rush Post, is what I'm kind of figuring, because he's played the rest of the year at Grayson, and he's currently playing for Grayson. So that's been a little bit of a political issue down here, because we always think Atlanta's picking on us down here in South Georgia.
No, never. I think there's some truth in that one.
Yeah, well, and also just since I don't know, I lived in Atlanta in the late 80s or early 90s, and it just seemed like that from the time that they won the Olympics bid in 1990, and of course they didn't actually have the games until 96,
Right.
but it just sparked that huge population explosion growth, as if it wasn't happening already. But now you've got so many high schools I've never heard of, from the time I lived there, and they just, you just got players everywhere. And of course it's, you've got the warm climate, you've got the facilities, you've got the fan bases and all that. And I mean, to me, it's not really a Georgia thing. It's just a Southeast region thing. You've got a lot of really good high school players in the Carolinas. Per population, Mississippi probably has as many prospects as anybody, not to mention, of course, Alabama. Go over to Georgia, Florida. I mean, it's just a treasure trove of football players. And one thing that kind of surprised me, I know you had it happen somewhat, but I really thought these states like Virginia and
Well, and it happens some in Illinois, blue states with Democrat governors that basically just, didn't play fall sports. I'm surprised you didn't have parents of a number of other highly recruited players who had relatives in the South, didn't come south to play this season and give them a chance to get a full season in against really good competition, and then be able to enter, their college program of their choice in January. But have you had much of that in Georgia?
Yes, sir. We've had a number of people bounce around, and there's a young gentleman playing at Cartersville that got eliminated last week, and it's a lot like you've seen in college. It's a lot like you've seen in the college that some of the kids that, there's a receiver from Tifton that's playing for the University of Minnesota, and he's projected, named Rashad Bateman. He's projected.
Oh yeah, he opted out, didn't he?
Yes, he opted out last week. Literally last week. So once he figured out Minnesota had their problems and were not doing much, he felt like from a safety issue, he had the built-in excuses, what I would think it was. But I'm just glad none of my children have any athletic ability, and I don't have to make decisions like that.
Hey, Shoney and Jimmy, hold on 1 minute. We're going to let Paul Gattuso come and talk with us. He's been here over 16 years at Corky's Barbecue on Poplar in East Memphis. And Paul, those appetizers you brought out here for Audrey and me, the hot catfish bites, those are as tender as a fried oyster, and the chicken bites even more tender. I don't know how you do it. We know about your great barbecue, your ribs, your brisket, your pulled pork, your pitmaster. You've been here since 1984, but I guess you can come in now. The dining is available again now. Corky's. I know the drive-through, when a lot of restaurants were in limited capacity, the traffic was just backed up for a long way, like a long snake, to get in here to Corky's. You all haven't slowed down a bit, but tell people that are listening. We've got listeners here, Memphis, the Mid-South, but all over the country, and they can, of course, order online. Y'all have a 115,000 square foot commissary down by the airport with a USDA inspector there every day. And Shoney, you need to order some of this Corky's barbecue for your crowd down there in Valdosta, Georgia, because I'm going to tell you something. It is unlike anything you've had, just dripping juice. The pork ribs, they vacuum seal them and they're FedEx to you. But Paul, tell people about what the Corky's experience and the Corky story.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say something about the USDA plant. It's an amazing plant. If you've never been there, I told Corky's that when I retire, I wanted to take like a golf cart like they have at SeaWorld or somewhere with people and show them, the operation over there. The amazing thing about that is the food that we prepare, frozen food that we prepare. There's a shelf life of 14 days before it's shipped out, which is unbelievable to me. How many places can have food that fresh, frozen food. Usually you get like a pack of peas or something frozen at the grocery store. That might have been last year's crop, but not with us. 14 days and everything is rotated out of that warehouse.
Well, and again, for everybody listening, you can go online to our website, www.sidelines.live, and you'll see the Corky's Barbecue hyperlink on there. Click on there and you go to shipping. And again, they FedEx within 48 hours or less. I can tell you personally, back October 8th through the 11th, we were down in Seacrest on 30A, Florida, next to Rosemary Beach. A bunch of my pledge brothers from Auburn, Sigma Nu, were down there. We ordered the Corky's and it was there in no time, and it was vacuum sealed. It's fantastic. It's got the cooking instructions on there. And I'm telling you, when you drive up and down Poplar at any time of the day or night, you can smell the barbecue coming out of there. And you just basically torture people out here and tell them about how the ribs and how good they are.
Well, they're really good because, I eat them myself. My favorite is the dry ribs. I think the men, I don't know, it's something about the dry ribs that the men really like, but more women are starting to eat the dry ribs. Then we have the wet ribs, which is basted with our original sauce. And if you really want to be bold, you can try the muddy, which has the shake and the sauce on it together. That's a little too brave for me. I like the dry ribs, and I'm sticking with them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Corky's is it's incredible. I've been eating it 36 years. Been spent many nights coming over after the kids' games at St. Louis, basketball, football practice, anything, getting the barbecue. My kids, they love the barbecue spaghetti. Everything you all make is fantastic. And again, those of you listening, it's worth ordering online from the Corky's Barbecue hyperlink on the sidelines.live website. And Paul, thanks for joining us. And we're going to be talking to you again here right before we go off the air. Okay. We got another one of our sponsors here with us right now, Justin Wynn, the general manager of Red River Ford Toyota over in Wynn, Arkansas. And Justin, we're over here at Corky's Barbecue in Memphis on Poplar in East Memphis, just talking to Paul Gattuso about the food here, the ribs. And I mean, it's torture because we've been eating the hot Nashville, they call them the hot catfish bites, and the chicken that is as soft. This is like eating fried oysters. Let's talk about something even just as incredible. Red River Ford Toyota, it's duck season, it's deer season. You need to get out there and look at these cars, trucks, and SUVs, and Justin Wynn is your man.
Man, I tell you, it's hard to beat some Corky's, Rob. You get out there and get to eating on that stuff, man. You can just sit there and stuff yourself till you get sick, buddy.
It's a good way to get sick, but hey.
It's a good way to get sick right there. It's delicious.
It really is. But hey, a lot going on right now. Christmas is 21 days away. It is really hard to believe. Lots of people have asked Santa for a new car or truck. And I'm telling you, you've got the Fords and the Toyotas, and you're driving that Toyota Tundra fully loaded. And talk about the fully loaded with everything you want on the Toyota Tundra pickup truck, because it is incredible.
So if you're going to go fully loaded, you want to look at this Toyota Tundra 1794 edition. And that's a super nice truck. It's got a special interior in it, something similar to the King Ranch, if you're familiar with the Ford. You got navigation, heated seats, heated steering wheel, sunroofs, touch screens. I mean, you name it, these trucks have it now. And that Tundra with a 5.7 liter engine in it just absolutely has all the torque and power in the world. It'll walk the dog with you, Rob, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You mentioned in the first hour, you got a Ford Bronco on the lot right now, and the pre-orders for those are incredible. I've been watching the shares of Ford. It's a good sign. Talk about that new Bronco.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute game changer. You know, they introduced this probably about 18 months ago, and people have just been drooling over this thing, waiting on it to come out. Now they're finally starting to show up at dealers, and it's going to be an absolute game changer. If you hadn't had a chance to come by and actually see one in person, you need to do so. I think you'll be really impressed with this vehicle.
Tomorrow, y'all open up 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. A lot going on. You've got TVs on. I go over there on the weekends. We're going to try to drop by tomorrow and say hello. Rusty Howard, your sales manager out there on the floor, all the salesmen, the staff. You've got a lot going on, and it's going to be busy, but that's the way you like it, isn't it? It's an easy trip. Look, if you're going to Little Rock, stop off, go north at the Forest City exit, Highway 1, about 11 miles north of I-40. You're on 64 going back and forth to Heber Springs. 64 right by the Walmart. Go south about a half mile. You cannot miss it. Red River Ford Toyota. And Justin, I know you're going to be there till late tonight. Again, bright and early in the morning. Tell people real quick how easy it is to get started before they even get there online.
Super easy. Just go to our website. It's redriverfordtoyota.com. That'll link you to either our Ford page or our Toyota page, just whichever you're interested in. Every vehicle we have in stock is listed there. Prices are posted. I mean, we really try to make it simple, make it really transparent. And then again, like I was telling you in the first hour, you know, I'll do this. I'll bring the vehicle to them and put it in their driveway where they don't feel like getting out or placing the time at going from dealership to dealership, or if they're just nervous about COVID. I mean, everybody is right now, as we should be.
Yeah.
We'll make it real simple, make it real easy for you. And we want your business, and we're going to do what it takes to try to do that.
Hey, I got a friend of mine that said, I'm looking forward to buy a new truck by the end of this month in December. And he said, I looked online, they had this truck and that truck. If they've got something they want, it's best that they call you. You can find it, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If they just call and give me a chance and a little bit of opportunity, give me a little bit of time, I can get what they need.
Yeah. You know what? John Dobbs Jr. from Memphis is part of the Red River Auto Group. The family has been in the car and truck business for a long time. If you are looking for it, just call Justin Wynn, General Manager, Red River Ford Toyota in Wynn, Arkansas, and they will find you what you're looking for. Justin, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in the morning.
Thanks, Rob.
You bet. Okay. We've got Justin Wynn, man. What a great sponsor, Red River Ford Toyota. And Jimmy, I know you're up in Chicago, but if you are looking for a new car or truck or SUV, that's a great place to do business with. And I've got lots of friends of mine, and I can tell you this, John Dobbs Jr., I've known him a long time, know the whole family, love him. If you're looking for a car or a truck and you can't find it on their website, call Justin Wynn, and they will go out and get it. They have the buying power in that Red River Auto Group to accomplish anything. Hey, we've got Jimmy Hodge on the phone with us up in Chicago, National College Football contributor. Billy Roberts just joined us over in Atlanta, and Rob Shoney Anderson from down in Valdosta. And Billy Shoney, of course, is one of my fraternity brothers, Sigma Nu down there, 715 West Magnolia in Auburn. And we're talking about the Georgia high school football playoffs. And Billy, Jimmy used to live in Atlanta. I'm over there a lot. You live there in Brookhaven. I mean, 6 million people, 22 counties makes up the greater Atlanta, plus 2 million absentee voters from Mars. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about.
Well, let me throw another wrinkle on that. My mother, who passed away 8 years ago, just got a text message today from voter people wanting her to make sure to register to vote in the January senatorial thing. So they're digging her up from 2012, apparently.
It's unbelievable. And Jimmy Hodge, you live in Chicago, where I tell you what, they have to wait for the cemetery votes to come in every election. And you know what? It's not surprising at all. But look, college football feeds, and it's built off of great high school football. Shoney, you're down there in Valdosta. Billy again in Atlanta. I want to ask you this first, Shoney.
Yep.
From the South Georgia perspective, no, Billy's from LaGrange. He went to Auburn. We were roommates at Auburn. But from the South Georgia perspective, why are y'all better in high school football than the Metro Atlanta area?
They just been into it almost exclusively for multiple generations, and you Atlanta guys used to beat our brains out in basketball, and now you got a little bit more into football, and you can make your own rules up there apparently because
I love it.
It's
Billy's a LaGrange guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, I'll tell you now, when I was first moved to Georgia many, many years ago, the Metro Atlanta area was considered like 5 counties. Now, like Rob said, it's 22. But, historically, the South Georgia schools always had legendary coaches that stayed for a long time. So you had that continuity. And I think that's continued to this day. The coaching caliber, of all these great teams in South Georgia and Central Georgia is what the difference is, I believe. Those kids are well coached, disciplined, and there's not a lot of distractions. They got nothing to do with lift weights all day and watch film, right? So that helps too.
That helps a lot, Billy. You'll be honest. You're right.
And Jimmy, looking at the high school football in the state of Georgia, it just gets better and better. Jason Caldwell, who's on here regularly with Inside the Auburn Tigers, said a couple of months ago that the state of Alabama is where the state of Georgia was 10 years ago. I can remember when the state of Alabama turned out about 100 Division I prospects a year. Now they're up around 140 or 150, and the state of Georgia is at around 250, and it's just getting stronger. And that includes bringing on Kennesaw State in football. Of course, Georgia Southern's been there. Irk Russell built that powerhouse, and Tim Stowers, the last two-way player in Auburn history from Montgomery, won a national championship there as well. And then you look at Georgia State University. They got the old Braves Stadium there in downtown Atlanta. It's a state. And you look at the state of Texas, guys, 29, 30 million people that we know of in that state. And there has been one national championship since 1970 in that entire state. And that was the 2005 Vince Young around right end and the 41-38 win over Southern Cal in the national championship game. So it's an amazing story, Georgia high school football. And guys, Shoney, real quick before we let you go, we're about to be joined by Jimmy Ott from ESPN 104.5 in Baton Rouge. Tell people what you think is going to happen with these South Georgia teams from Valdosta and the rest of the crowd down there. What I call south of I-85 and west of Interstate 75 down to the Florida, Alabama, and Georgia line down there. There's a country music group called that, by the way. Ha. But anyway, talk about
Georgia Florida line, right?
Absolutely. Shoney, you are damn good. And you better be calling back in here on more of a regular basis because you know your football. But anyway, give us your predictions and we'll let you go.
Well, I believe tonight, supposedly, if they don't give us the North Georgia treatment, Lounge should survive in 7A against North Cobb.
This sounds like wrestling, man. Referee Jerry Calhoun and a mandatory 10 count. But Shoney, go ahead because Ida and Mary are listening from the sky.
And then
you know that you crazy, Brown.
Then in Class 6A, Coach Probst left school yesterday at lunchtime for the 6-hour trip to suburban Augusta. And
hey, Shoney, when Rush was at Hoover, they played a playoff game in Florence, which was maybe 2 hours away in northwest Alabama near the Mississippi-Tennessee border, and they stayed at the Hyatt in nearby Muscle Shoals or whatever, but for a Friday night game on Thursday night.
Sure.
Oh my goodness,
they left at noon on Thursday yesterday.
Yeah. I mean that.
Trip.
No, Rush is going to give his team every chance to win when you get that far. Yeah, they're going to be rested.
I'm still periodically questioning his integrity, but the guy wins apparently. Of course, this is his first year in Valdosta, so he's getting a little old to be the program builder, but I think they'll at least have a little patience with him for at least a year or two.
Yeah.
What was the reaction when he got the job? Not only in Valdosta, but throughout South Georgia.
Well, it was a very controversial deal because the coach Rodemaker, who was a very popular defensive coach, who'd been the head coach at Valdosta for 4 or 5 years, was a popular guy, good guy. His son was a marginal quarterback who somehow woke up with a scholarship at Florida State.
It happens. This kind of stuff happens to me every day.
Well, I just call them like I see them, Rob.
No, you're right. Hey, no, Shoney, you're right. I mean, it's just woke up. That used to be a common practice. Remember that guys got scholarships because they wanted the teammate, but with only 25 kids that you can sign, and it's rare that a school signs a full 25. You just don't see that happening much. But hey, Shoney.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Make your point.
I was going to say Rodemaker was one of 2 quarterbacks that signed with FSU that year, and he was marginal at best. And I think his other choice was walking on at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But
hey, you know what? Hey, Shoney, we're gonna get you back on next week, and I just want to say thank you so much. And what is the best if you've got one? If not, just text me and we'll bring it up during the show. We got another half hour to go. But what's the best website out there if you're following high school football in Georgia and specifically South Georgia, because it's an animal unto it. It's its own country, really.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm going to go look because there's a gentleman who used to be in the newspaper business that has been hosting a scoreboard show for years and years, and he's such a good guy. He's the kind of Chris Beckham, he's the guy I'd love to put you in touch with because he can navigate a lot better than a guy like me.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get you on and Beckham on and Billy on, and we're going to have a three-way Georgia, battle royale. So look, Shoney, have a great night. Look forward to having you on. I'll be talking to you tonight, but 7:15 West Magnolia is proud of you. And Ida and Mary have one thing to say from above. You crazy, Shoney. Hey, all right, let's do this. Yes, sir. Cooley says the same thing. Hey, let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We got to take a commercial. I got to tell y'all, Paul was here. Mr. Paul Gattuso, been here at Corky's 16 and a half years. We're at Corky's on Poplar Avenue in East Memphis. And man, y'all, I can smell the barbecue cooking in the kitchen in there. The pit master is in there doing his thing. It's like a conductor of the Boston Philharmonic when he's in there. We've been eating these hot catfish bites and the chicken bites. They are literally like the best. They're incredible, like fried oysters. They're that soft. Billy, you, I know you ordered some Corky's online not too long ago.
I
Jimmy,
did. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate that pie.
Yeah. Hey, the fudge pie. Audrey was really proud of that commercial she did with the tag where she says, you get a free rack of ribs and a pie. I was like, woo, man. But anyway, let's take a quick commercial break. Jimmy Hodge is up in Chicago, the man who's logged more miles traveling around the country than anyone on the Greyhound bus, and our national college football contributor. But we're going to be back with you for another half hour, Sidelines.live. Hopefully Jimmy Ott's going to be able to join us. He is getting warmed up, he said, and I know what that means down in Louisiana for his son's high school football playoff game tonight. And Jimmy is just one of the best. He is as honest as it gets. You got to love it. But we'll be right back. Sidelines.live.
Amen.
Hey, yeah. Hey, Shoney, thanks, man, for being on there with us.
No sweat. Enjoyed it.
All right. Talk to you. I'm going to call you after the show.
All
right. Take care. Hey, Billy.
Yeah, man.
Hey, what's the latest? Jimmy's up in Chicago, and the governor of Georgia the night of the election.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. Hey, I got a quick favor to ask you if you have a minute.
Yeah.
So Janet Bell's son Gregory went up to Washington last summer, and he was a intern for a congressman up there.
Yeah.
And now that Tommy Tuberville is going to be the senator.
Oh, I've heard about. Is this? Yeah.
He wants to go up there and do like a fellowship or an internship because he's getting ready to try to go to law school.
Yeah.
And I told him that you had a connection to Coach Tuberville and his campaign manager and all that. Do you think you could help do an introduction into him?
Yes.
Gregory?
Yeah, I will. Look, I'll absolutely do that. That's Janet's son. Hell yeah.
Yeah. He's a good kid, and he's getting ready to graduate here in May, and he's going to try to go to law school at University of Alabama.
Yeah, that's about as easy as asking a Catholic priest, do you want to take communion? Come on. Yes. Of course I'll do it.
You.
All right. How long till we come back? Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm telling you, this food here, it's ridiculous. It's insane. We're not up here. It's not, 3 to 5 is not exactly, it's not lunch. It's not dinner. It's, I guess it's lunner, I don't know what it is, but oh my God, the food. Y'all, Jimmy, order some of these ribs online. It's easy. They FedEx them to you. They're vacuum packed, but
they're unbelievable.
Yeah, and Jimmy, and get the fudge pie. It's so good, and heat that thing up, and it's ridiculous. But no, during when restaurant dining was either closed or limited to a trickle, the traffic out in front of this place is just insane. But no, it really is.
Yeah, so I ordered the brisket, and then they threw in free
rack of ribs.
Promo got the ribs, and then I ordered the pie. So all of it came in a little styrofoam cooler with dry ice. It was perfect.
Yeah. I think the promo code's over. We're going to ask them if they can redo that again. That's what we got. I'm going to ask about that before we leave.
Yeah, it worked for me. I got the free ribs.
Yeah, they throw a free rack of ribs in, Jimmy, with your order. How many seconds do we come back? 44 seconds. Okay. And I'll come back in, guys. I'm going to do a quick opening with. I hope Jimmy is not getting too lit down there in Louisiana. And I'm trying to make it because he told me, he said, I'm going to do my best. It's been a wild day. Bill Cameron's phone died. And we lost him. He called in and then his phone died again. Okay. 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 I'm going to come back in and do Tom Dorian. Okay. Okay, Rob Browne back here with you on the Friday afternoon edition of Sidelines.live. We'll be with you till 5 p.m. Central, 6 east of the Chattahoochee and east of the Caney Fork River. And Jimmy, I know you know about the Caney Fork River. I think between Nashville and Cookeville, you go over the Caney Fork 5 or 6 times on I-40. Great river, beautiful river for trout fishing. I know Big Jim King's got him a place up there that Neil, Bob, and him love to go hang out at. Let me say something about one of our sponsors, the Dorian Agency. Tom Dorian. You don't want to hear another commercial about insurance, and I don't either. But I will tell you this. If you're needing life, auto, renters, homeowners, property and casualty, any type of insurance, call Tom Dorian. I've known Tom 42 years. He is very easy to work with. My wife Audrey and I have our insurance with him. No pressure. You're just going to have a conversation. If Tom can help, fine. If not, fine. Be gone on your way. But you will find out what you need to know from someone you can trust, and you're going to have peace of mind that you've got the right product, the right fit to cover your needs. And if you're like most Americans, you might go years without making an insurance claim on your property or your auto insurance. They have a program that can return up to 25% of your premium. The Dorian Agency, 6240 Poplar Avenue in Memphis, 901-328-5858. Check out their logo, their hyperlink on our website, sidelines.live. Tom played football for the Christian Brothers High School Purple Wave, state champions in 1977. Also for the University of Memphis Tigers, 79 through 83. Started on the offensive line, father of 5, member of De Caloris, St. Louis Catholic Church, member of Cursillo, De Caloris, Tom. Anyway, great man, friend of ours, and a sponsor of Sidelines. That's the Dorian Insurance Agency, 6240 Poplar Avenue in Memphis. All right, Jimmy, Billy, a lot going on. I know Jimmy is going to try to get in here with us. It's been a crazy day. We're up here at Corky's Barbecue on Poplar Avenue in East Memphis. Get out here tonight. Anytime you can order wherever you're listening, anywhere in the country. They'll FedEx within 48 hours, ribs, brisket. You can make sure you put in there. I love the fudge pie. I'm especially fond of that. But high school football playoffs underway. Jimmy and Billy, last night, McCallie beat MUS for the state championship in Tennessee, 44-0. Wow, that was big. McCallie, they've got some talent up there. You know, you've had McCallie and Baylor for a long time. And, of course, MUS has probably won 4 state championships in the last 20 years. Several runner-up. That was another one last night. One of the best programs in the state of Tennessee and in the South. Let's talk real quick. LSU and Alabama. I'm going to go with you first, Jimmy. And hopefully Jimmy Ott can be in here with us. But we're going to go to Jimmy Hodge up in Chicago. Is LSU going to show up? Because I think they will. There's too much pride. I know the party has been going on for a long time from the 15-0 national championship season. But I just can't see LSU not showing up ready to fight at kickoff against Alabama tomorrow. What do you think?
Well, you know, it's got to be deflating, though, when you had Terrence Marshall, your best receiver remaining on your roster, opt out the week of Alabama.
Yeah, why did he? That makes me really mad. Okay, I mean, well, money. You're part of a team, you know. There's more to life than just looking at yourself in the mirror. But why did he do that other than that?
I have no earthly idea, because you've got Bama, Florida, and Ole Miss coming up. 3 great opportunities to show NFL scouts what you can do.
Yeah.
And now you're just saying, I'm good. I don't want to play these last 3 games. I can't imagine how it's deflating in the locker room, and what it does to your teammates, you know, and it just shows total disrespect for them. And when you've had all these losses, you know, just to the NFL draft, NFL free agency, and all of that, and then you had a couple of opt-outs right before the season began, and to go this far, and then at this point in the season, just tell your teammates, "Oh man, you guys are on your own." don't think that NFL scouts aren't paying attention to that.
Yeah.
It's just something that I tell you, I just don't think it bodes well for him or the people that are behind that decision that probably gave him that advice. I just think it sets a bad tone for this game. Although the guys that are going to play, they're going to give it everything they have, but they're just totally outmanned. I mean, it could be interesting for a quarter and a half, but other than that, I think it's just going to be a long night for the Tigers. I think their fans sense it, and you just you try to get through it. I know they're going to have a big recruiting class, and you try to figure out a way to play as well as you can against Florida next week, and hopefully get a win against Ole Miss, and then get ready for 2021. Hopefully you can have a spring practice where all these elite prospects in your signing class can get some on-field experience, at the college level in the spring. I think that's all you can do at this point, but it's got to be just, again, as I said, not only disappointing to your teammates, but the coaching staff and your fan base.
Well, look, the two things that have really got me madder than I guess a hen house full of wet hens this week is all the publicity the girl kicker up there at Vanderbilt got. Because I'd be madder than a wet hen if I was a guy on that football team, which everybody else is a guy. And I think the whole kicking group tested positive for the China virus, but you could have gotten other players to go out there and kick better than that. And to make her one of the SEC special team players of the week. I mean, that is a joke. It delegitimizes when you really are an SEC special teams player of the week. I got nothing against her. I got a daughter myself. But the last thing I'm going to do is recommend she go out and play college football. What's going to happen if the girl kicker for Vanderbilt, they try a fake field goal and she runs around right end and runs in to some 6'5", 265-pound strong side defensive end. It hits her in the open field around 15, 20 miles an hour full on. We can have congressional hearings. Football's too violent. Come on. Let's stop it, okay? And, I mean, I listened to all these people on radio and TV and stuff talking about how great it was. Really? Look, I mean, if you've got a daughter, why would you want her to run into a Mack truck? Okay. I mean, and what if they block a kick? I mean, it could be crazy. And I just, let's be careful about that. The second thing is these players that opt out. Look, you know what? Parents can't opt out on their kids. You're part of a team. You're part of a family. Are you that selfish? I mean, are you that big of a narcissist? I don't like it. I can't stand it. Billy Roberts, your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think that, we had a similar deal here in Atlanta over the summer when the baseball season was getting ready to start. And Nick Markakis, opted out right before the season started with the abbreviated 60-game schedule. And it was shocking because here's a guy that is a consummate clubhouse guy and a leader and a quiet, stoic guy that just kind of leads by example. His number 3 hitter on the team for much of the time he's been in Atlanta. So he's an important guy. And he opted out and everybody was completely shocked. But he sat home and watched the first 2 or 3 games of the season and then said, I can't do this. I can't be on the couch and let my teammates down. And he came back and rejoined the team and went on to have a solid season with the Braves. And but it was all because he felt the pull of the teammate connection, and they weren't giving him a hard time about it. They respected that he made a personal decision to opt out, but he felt bad about it. And he said, I can't let my teammates down. So I think it echoes exactly what you're saying. There at some point you don't leave a man behind on the battlefield and you don't quit on your team halfway through the season, particularly before the biggest game on your schedule. That's not what a football player does.
No, exactly. And I think last year, Jimmy and Billy and everybody listening, if you remember what Matt Rule, the coach that left Baylor to become the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, he also brought in Joe Brady, passing game coordinator, who helped engineer perhaps the greatest single college football season and certainly the best single season ever by a college quarterback, by Joe Burrow out of Athens. the Plains, Ohio, Southeast Ohio, won the Heisman Trophy, gave a very memorable speech. A true team player. But I got to say this, you don't opt out on your teammates. And Derek Browne was taken from Auburn out of Lanier High School in Buford, Georgia, Sugar Hill. And Billy, you know that area, and Jimmy, Metro Atlanta. Derek Browne, great kid. Military parents, solid as a rock. He's got a brother on the football team at Auburn, linebacker. And you know what? They chose Derek Browne, number 7 in the draft, for several reasons. Obviously, at 6'5", 325, could run down skill players in the backfield and all that. That's important. But he came back for his senior year with his teammates like Marlon Davidson out of Greenville, Alabama, who was a second-round pick by the Falcons. They came back, both of them, because they wanted to win a championship. They didn't, but they had a pretty darn good season. But in the Minnesota game, in the bowl game, guys, Auburn didn't really want to be there. When you get to that level, you want to be in the playoffs. And if you're not in the playoffs, it's just hit or miss if you're going to show up. But he was diving for every, scrapping out there on a goal line stand late in the game. And that shows character. That character was revealed. And that's why the Carolina Panthers look at him and look at the kind of rookie season Derek Browne is having. I'm sorry, people. You can criticize me all you want. But by God, when you're a member of a team, you can give your, to the money and all that stuff later, but your rear end belongs to that team. You're either committed or you're just taking up space. And I am disgusted in all these people. Look, being scared is no way to live your life. Waiting for the other shoe to drop is no way to wake up in the morning and live your day. I'm really mad about these opting out guys, and they get so much sympathy by these social justice warriors in the media. You know what? Bottom line, you're part of a team, man, and you're going to remember that the rest of your life. And to walk out on your team, you know what? Before the biggest game, like y'all are saying, that shows to me that you're selfish. And years ago, guys, I was told that y'all remember Art Kehoe, the old offensive line coach for the Miami Hurricanes? Sure. He made a comment, and a friend of mine who's an offensive line coach in college told me this. Art Kehoe years ago said, look, in the future, the biggest problem we're going to have in college and pro football is going to be the wide receivers. They're going to be the prima donnas, okay? And, Antonio Brown, you name it. These guys.
Terrell Owens comes to mind immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I will say this. But they're not all bad. But that's where the problem is. But look at Julio Jones out of Foley, Alabama. What a great player! He's the best receiver in the NFL. Seems like a pretty good guy. Billy, is that what they say of him in Atlanta? But because I like him.
And he's actually remarkable for the profile that he maintains, which is so low. I think that the Falcons in particular would like it if he was more relevant media-wise and talked more, but he's a very quiet guy that leads by example. He's been banged up a little bit, but he gets triple teamed all the time and still puts the numbers up. So he's a hell of a player. He
really is, isn't he, Jimmy?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You have guys, especially if they're somewhat introverted and they're playing with the professional franchise in a league where, with the exception of maybe Green Bay, Cincinnati, those teams that they play on have high profiles in those cities, the large metropolitan areas, and you're not even comfortable just thinking you can go out somewhere to the grocery store or just go places that you used to be able to go all your life and nobody ever thought twice about it. You just sometimes get uncomfortable and just try to stay away from the attention and just try to really hide from it. And everybody handles it differently, and he just wants to play football and just try to be as anonymous as possible. Whereas you have other guys that really enjoy the moment, and actually it turns out to be very lucrative for them, especially if they're good players, where they get these endorsement opportunities and so forth. So everybody's different, and some people can handle going to that level, even though they might not be comfortable off the field, but it doesn't affect their performance on the field. And the only thing guys like that have to worry about is injuries. So, but Julio, as far as when he's been healthy, he's been as good as there is at that position for sure.
Yeah, it's 6'6" and can run like a cheetah. I mean, it's just great hands and just such a physically strong receiver. All right, look, we've covered a lot today. Let's kind of recap here before we go off. Texas A&M at Auburn tomorrow, 11 a.m. That'll be an interesting game. I think Auburn will put up a fight. If they don't show up with the right mindset, it'll be over with early. I hope they do. Everybody's got injuries. Everybody's in the same boat. I look for Auburn to come out ready to fight. Arkansas and Missouri and Columbia, that's going to be one of the more interesting and more compelling. There's so many storylines there. Missouri's won 4 of the last 5. Arkansas needs to get a win to keep this feel-good story going. Florida at Tennessee. Look, the Gators are going to be going for 15 of the last 16 in this series against Tennessee. I mean, what was once a great rivalry is now just club and baby seals, it seems. It's just ridiculous. And I don't understand why Tennessee has fallen so far. But I'm telling you, when Jeremy Pruitt fired Jimmy Brumbaugh on the field during the Kentucky game, that team has just fallen apart. But the real problem is their quarterback. Vanderbilt at Georgia, that will just be we have club and baby seals. That'll be really bad. South Carolina at Kentucky. Look, I think Kentucky has won 4 of the last 5 in that series. Look, for Kentucky's got to get a win. They are one of the bigger disappointments in the SEC this year. And Alabama at LSU. Well, golly, I wonder who else will opt out. I'm really disappointed. And, Coach O, I bet he's really mad about it. I don't blame him. I think Alabama's going to win pretty handily against LSU tomorrow. Memphis at Tulane. Memphis is sitting there at 6-2. They've got to win to keep their hopes alive. I think they'll win tomorrow against Tulane. Again, you cannot get behind on the road against a Willie Fritz Tulane team. Guys, look, we're going to be back on tomorrow at 8 a.m., 8 to 10 a.m. Central, Sports 56 WHBQ, the Saturday edition of Sidelines. And again, Sunday, we'll be back on the 3 to 5 p.m., the wrap-up show. And I want to say something real quick about one of our just a great friend of the show, sponsor, Matei's Garage, 4930 Black Road in East Memphis, right by the Clark Tower. Larry Cervetti, I have known Larry for, 43 years. Freshman year at Christian Brothers. I think he was one of 37 out of 39 of us felt the wrath of Coach Russell Reed in his homeroom. But Matheny, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. You used to deliver announcements to our classroom until you didn't anymore because you had an encounter. But hey, I want to say this, Matei's Garage, if you've got anything, a car, a truck, SUV with a motor, Andrew, Matt, and Dean, the 3 mechanics, Matei's been there since 1972, family owned. Larry bought it from his uncle, Ralph. Larry Cervetti over there, Matei's Garage. Check them out. Their website, mateisgarage.com. They are great to deal with. They can work on European and Asian cars and trucks. You will love these people. Uncle Boyd got me hooked on them years ago. Check them out. Great friend of the show, DeColoris, Larry. Closing comments, Jimmy from Chicago. Here we've got about 3.5 minutes left.
Well, I think we're just going to have a standard weekend of college football when you consider just the China virus and the effect it's had on the sport, especially in the the last month. I mean, we've had a lot of games canceled, including Vandy and Georgia at the last minute today. And just be thankful for every game that we're able to have played. And we're almost to the finish line here. We're going to have, an SEC championship game, and it looks like we're going to have a playoff. And with that thought in mind, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with the Big Ten and Ohio State. If they're going to, looks like they're going to be able to play that Michigan State game tomorrow. Will Michigan opt out next week? They had their game this week. I think it was with Maryland. That game was, postponed, but it's canceled because they don't have enough time in their schedule to be able to make those games up. What if Michigan decides not to play, or they don't have enough players able to play against Ohio State next week?
Well,
if Ohio State doesn't play 6 games, does that knock them out of the playoff? I mean, you got a lot of interesting questions going on with, and then the controversy with the ACC office deciding that Notre Dame and Clemson aren't going to have to play next week, the week before they meet in the ACC championship.
Well, we're going to talk about that one in the morning. We're almost out of time. Billy Roberts, your closing thoughts. And let me say this too. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan opts out. They've been beaten 15 of the last 16 years by Ohio State. They haven't won the Big Ten since 2004. You talk about a program that is living on fumes. That is Michigan football. But what do you expect when elite liberal pinheads run your university? Billy Roberts, your closing comments.
I agree. I think that people are now using this opt-out as a way to save face and avoid embarrassment and preserve, their recruiting considerations they may be working on rather than taking a beat down. So I'm cynical about it. I agree.
Yeah, I do too. Look, I'm going to tell you one thing. My coach, Lane Kiffin, we're going to talk about him a lot tomorrow. What he's done with Ole Miss football is incredible. If he gets some defensive linemen, watch out. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. To all of our sponsors, our title sponsor, Duncan Williams Asset Management, all of our sponsors, our listeners, thank you so much. We'll be back with you on 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, Sports 56, WHBQ. This is Sidelines. Hey, our time is up. We thank you for yours. We're out of here. Got it. Okay. Hey, guys, thank y'all a million. That, man, that's going to be fun to watch, Billy and Jimmy. I bet, hey, Jimmy, I'm going to say this. I bet Ohio State, Michigan opts out. That they're not what they were. They need Bo Schembechler there. They don't have a Michigan man there. They got Harbaugh, but he's spent too much time on